Staff Sergeant Sarah Chun adjusted her grip on the Barrett M82A1, feeling the familiar weight of the massive rifle as desert wind whipped across Eagle's Nest Ridge. 3,400 meters away, an arms dealer was about to escape with intelligence that could save hundreds of lives. The shot was impossible by every military standard, beyond the range of human capability, according to the men who had spent the morning ridiculing her equipment and questioning her presence on their team. Staff Sergeant Mike Rodriguez had made his opinion crystal clear just hours earlier when he'd spotted her custom Night Force scope during equipment inspection. "What's with the fancy glass, Chun?" He'd sneered loud enough for the entire squad to hear. "Trying to compensate for something. Real snipers don't need toys to get the job done." The laughter from his supporters had echoed across the Forward Operating Base Mountainview like a challenge thrown down in the Syrian dust. But Rodriguez didn't know that in less than 6 hours, Sarah would line up a shot that would rewrite the record books and prove that precision, preparation, and pure skill could accomplish what brute force and traditional thinking never could. Sometimes the person everyone doubts becomes the one who changes everything. And today would be Sarah Chun's moment to show that excellence recognizes no gender, only results. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The predawn darkness of Forward Operating Base Mountainview carried the crisp bite of desert air that would soon give way to scorching heat across the Syrian landscape. Prefabricated buildings and defensive barriers cast sharp shadows under the harsh illumination of security lights, creating a maze of angles that spoke to the perpetual vigilance required in this remote corner of the counter-terrorism war. The base hummed with the constant activity of soldiers preparing for missions that could shift the balance of regional security operations, where intelligence gathered in these mountains often prevented attacks in major cities thousands of miles away. Sarah Chun moved through the equipment bay with practiced efficiency, conducting her pre-mission inspection with the methodical precision that had earned her recognition as one of the military's most capable precision marksmen. Her service record spoke to achievements that most soldiers never approached in entire careers. Yet here at Forward Operating Base Mountainview, assigned to Alpha Company's reconnaissance unit, she found herself constantly proving capabilities that should have been beyond question. The Barrett M82A1 sniper rifle that formed the centerpiece of her equipment loadout represented years of specialized training and countless hours of practice under conditions that pushed human performance to its absolute limits. The weapon system, designed for extreme long-range precision engagement, required not just marksmanship skills, but deep understanding of ballistics, atmospheric conditions, and the physics that governed projectile behavior across distances that challenged the boundaries of what most people considered possible. Her custom Night Force, a TSCR scope, the piece of equipment that had drawn Rodriguez's mockery, represented the cutting edge of optical technology designed for precision shooting at extended ranges. The scope's advanced reticle system and crystal clear glass had been selected specifically for its ability to maintain target resolution and tracking accuracy across the extreme distances that defined her specialization. Every component of her equipment had been chosen through careful analysis of performance requirements that went far beyond standard military issue. Sarah's background in competitive precision shooting had provided her with training opportunities that most military snipers never experienced. Before joining the Army, she had dominated long-range shooting competitions across the civilian circuit, setting records and earning recognition in a sport where technical knowledge mattered as much as natural talent. Her transition to military service had been motivated by a desire to apply her skills in service of something larger than personal achievement, though she had quickly discovered that military culture didn't always recognize excellence when it came in unexpected packages. The specialized training she had received at Damascus International Training Center had focused on extreme long-range precision shooting, a discipline that required mastery of complex calculations involving wind speed, temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, and the Coriolis effect. Her instructors had recognized exceptional talent, noting her ability to consistently achieve accuracy standards that placed her among the top 1% of military marksmen regardless of gender or experience level. Staff Sergeant Mike Rodriguez represented everything that frustrated Sarah up military attitudes toward female soldiers in specialized roles. A career infantry soldier with 12 years of service, Rodriguez had built his reputation on conventional approaches to tactical problems and maintained deep skepticism about innovations that challenged traditional methods. His leadership style relied heavily on established procedures and time-tested techniques, making him resistant to new technologies or unconventional approaches that might threaten his authority or expertise. Rodriguez's previous assignments had been primarily in urban combat environments where engagements occurred at relatively short ranges and standard equipment performed adequately for mission requirements. His understanding of precision shooting was limited to conventional military applications, and he had never encountered situations that required the extreme long-range capabilities that Sarah specialized in. This limited experience had created blind spots in his tactical knowledge that he compensated for with increased reliance on traditional approaches and dismissal of advanced techniques. The cultural dynamics within Alpha Company reflected broader military attitudes about women in combat roles, particularly in specialized positions that had historically been male-dominated. Rodriguez's skepticism wasn't unique or personal, but rather reflected institutional biases that questioned whether female soldiers possessed the physical and mental characteristics necessary for elite combat roles. These assumptions persisted despite mounting evidence that performance in modern warfare depended more on technical skill and mental discipline than physical strength. Sarah's assignment to Alpha Company had been the result of personnel shortages, rather than recognition of her specialized capabilities. The unit's previous sniper had been injured during a training accident, leaving them without precision shooting capability during the critical operational period. Sarah's availability and qualifications had made her the logical replacement, but her integration into the team had been complicated by Rodriguez's resistance to accepting her presence and capabilities. The morning's equipment inspection had begun routinely, with Rodriguez conducting his standard review of weapons and gear before the day's mission briefing. Sarah's equipment had been properly maintained and organized according to military standards, but Rodriguez had immediately focused on her custom scope as evidence of unnecessary complexity and questionable priorities. His comments had been designed to undermine her credibility with other team members and establish his authority over equipment decisions. Corporal Jake Thompson, the team's communications specialist, had witnessed Rodriguez's behavior with obvious discomfort, but had remained silent rather than challenging his superior's authority. Thompson's military experience had taught him that intervening in conflicts between senior personnel was dangerous territory, even when the senior personnel was clearly wrong. The social dynamics of military units often prioritized unit cohesion over individual justice, making it difficult for subordinates to speak up when they witnessed unfair treatment. Private Emma Walsh, one of the newer soldiers in the unit, had shown more visible reaction to Rodriguez's comments about Sarah's equipment. Walsh's limited military experience hadn't yet taught her to suppress emotional responses to injustice, making her discomfort obvious to anyone paying attention. Her respect for Sarah's qualifications had been evident in her body language, though she lacked the rank and experience necessary to effectively challenge Rodriguez's behavior. The Forward Operating Base Mountainview had been established 18 months earlier as part of ongoing counter-terrorism operations designed to disrupt weapons smuggling networks that supplied insurgent groups throughout the region. The base's strategic location provided oversight of major transit routes through the Al-Rashid Valley, where intelligence indicated significant arms trafficking activity that threatened regional stability and supported terrorist operations in multiple countries. Recent intelligence reports had identified increased activity in the Valley system, suggesting that major weapons shipments were being coordinated through a network of dealers and smugglers who had adapted their operations to avoid detection by conventional surveillance methods. The high-value target that today's mission would focus on had been identified as a key coordinator in this network, someone whose capture or elimination could significantly disrupt the entire smuggling operation. The mission briefing was scheduled for 0700 hours, where Rodriguez would present his tactical plan for surveillance and interdiction operations in the Valley system. Sarah had spent the previous evening studying satellite imagery and topographic maps of the operational area, identifying potential sniper positions and calculating engagement ranges for various scenarios. Her analysis had revealed several locations where extreme long-range precision shooting might be necessary to achieve mission objectives. The terrain in the Al-Rashid Valley presented unique challenges for precision shooting, with complex wind patterns created by the interaction between mountain ridges and desert thermals. Temperature variations throughout the day would create mirage effects that could distort target images, while dust and sand particles in the atmosphere would affect ballistic performance over extended ranges. These environmental factors required detailed preparation and equipment specifically designed for extreme long-range accuracy. Sarah's custom ammunition represented hours of careful preparation, with each round loaded to precise specifications that optimize performance for the FA4. Expected environmental conditions. The process of developing effective loads for extreme long-range shooting required extensive testing and detailed record keeping, documenting the performance characteristics of different powder charges, bullet weights, and primer types under various atmospheric conditions. Her training had included extensive study of meteorological factors that affected long-range shooting, including the subtle effects of air density changes, temperature gradients, and humidity variations on projectile trajectory. This knowledge went far beyond standard military training and represented specialized expertise that few soldiers possessed. The ability to accurately predict and compensate for these factors was essential for achieving precision at ranges that pushed the boundaries of human capability. The equipment bay fell silent as other team members completed their preparations, the weight of the upcoming mission settling over everyone present. Sarah continued her methodical inspection, checking every component of her system with the attention to detail that had become second nature through years of demanding training. Her confidence in her equipment and abilities remained unshaken by Rodriguez's comments, though she understood that today's mission would likely provide opportunities to demonstrate capabilities that her critics didn't believe existed. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The morning air carried the distant sounds of helicopter rotors and vehicle engines as other units at Forward Operating Base Mountainview prepared for their respective missions. The base supported multiple operational elements, each focused on different aspects of the counter-terrorism mission that had brought American forces to this remote region. Sarah's team represented just one component of a larger effort, but their mission had the potential to significantly impact the broader operational picture. As she completed her equipment check, Sarah reflected on the path that had brought her to this moment. The years of competitive shooting, the decision to join the military, the specialized training that had pushed her capabilities to their limits, and the ongoing challenge of proving herself in an environment that questioned her presence. Today's mission would provide another opportunity to demonstrate that excellence transcended the artificial limitations that others tried to impose based on gender rather than performance. The upcoming briefing would reveal the specific details of their assignment, but Sarah already understood that the mission would likely require capabilities that conventional thinking considered impossible. The intelligence reports she had reviewed suggested scenarios where extreme long-range precision might be the only viable solution to tactical problems that couldn't be solved through conventional approaches. If those scenarios developed, she would be ready to deliver results that would redefine what Alpha Company considered possible. The briefing room at Forward Operating Base Mountainview buzzed with the controlled energy of soldiers preparing for high-stakes operations. Maps covered every available wall surface, displaying the complex terrain of the Al-Rashid Valley in minute detail that revealed why this particular region had become such a critical flashpoint in counter-terrorism operations. Satellite imagery showed a landscape of steep ridges, narrow canyons, and elevated plateaus that provided countless hiding places for smuggling operations, while offering natural defensive positions for anyone who understood how to use the terrain effectively. Captain Lisa Martinez stood at the front of the room, her bearing reflecting the confidence of an officer who had earned respect through competent leadership rather than political maneuvering. Her briefings were known for their precision and attention to detail, qualities that had kept Alpha Company operational effectiveness high during their deployment to this challenging region. The intelligence package she was about to present represented weeks of careful surveillance and analysis by multiple agencies working to map the weapons, trafficking networks that threatened regional stability. The morning light streaming through reinforced windows illuminated dust particles floating in the air, creating an almost ethereal atmosphere that contrasted sharply with the deadly serious nature of the information being presented. Temperature readings indicated that the day would reach extreme levels that would challenge both equipment performance and human endurance, factors that had to be considered in any operational planning for extended missions in the desert environment. Sarah Chun took her position among the other team members, noting how Rodriguez had arranged the seating to place her at the periphery rather than integrating her into the core group. This subtle form of exclusion was typical of his approach to undermining her authority and credibility, though it also provided her with a better vantage point for studying the terrain features that would be critical to her potential contributions to the mission. Her trained eye immediately began calculating sightlines and engagement ranges from the elevated positions shown in the satellite imagery. Captain Martinez began her presentation with an overview of recent intelligence developments that had elevated the urgency of operations in the Al-Rashid Valley. Intercepted communications indicated that a major weapon shipment was being coordinated through the region, with enough firepower to supply multiple terrorist cells for extended operations. The shipment included advanced anti-aircraft systems that could threaten coalition air operations throughout the theater, making interdiction a critical priority for regional security. The primary target was identified as Halil al-Mansouri, an arms dealer whose network had been linked to attacks across 3 countries and whose elimination had become a top priority for counter-terrorism operations. Intelligence reports described him as highly intelligent and cautious, someone who had survived multiple attempts at capture by maintaining strict operational security and using the challenging terrain to his advantage. His presence in the Al-Rashid Valley represented a rare opportunity to disrupt his operations, but success would require perfect timing and execution. Al-Mansouri's operational patterns showed a preference for conducting business from elevated positions that provided extensive observation of surrounding terrain while offering multiple escape routes if operations were compromised. His security procedures included advanced counter-surveillance techniques and the use of decoy locations to confuse intelligence-gathering efforts. Previous attempts to capture him had failed because conventional approaches had been anticipated and countered through careful preparation and superior knowledge of local terrain. The mission parameters outlined by Captain Martinez revealed the complexity of the challenge facing Alpha Company. The target would be meeting with representatives of multiple buyer organizations at a location approximately 8 kilometers from Forward Operating Base Mountainview, in terrain that made conventional assault operations extremely dangerous. The meeting site had been selected specifically for its defensive advantages, including clear sight lines in all directions and natural barriers that would funnel any attacking force into predetermined kill zones. Surveillance assets had identified multiple security positions around the meeting site, with armed personnel equipped with heavy weapons capable of engaging targets at extended ranges. The security arrangements suggested that al-Mansuri was expecting trouble and had prepared accordingly, making any direct approach extremely hazardous for assault teams. Conventional military tactics would likely result in the target's escape and significant casualties among attacking forces. Sarah studied the satellite imagery with growing understanding of why this mission had been assigned to Alpha Company's reconnaissance unit rather than a larger assault force. The terrain and security arrangements made traditional military approaches impractical, requiring specialized capabilities that could engage targets from extreme ranges without alerting the extensive security network that al-Mansuri had established. Her expertise in long-range precision shooting was exactly what the tactical situation demanded. Rodriguez's initial reaction to the mission briefing focused on conventional approaches that ignored the unique challenges presented by the terrain and security arrangements. His questions revealed a mindset that favored direct confrontation over careful planning, suggesting assault routes that would expose his team to defensive fire from prepared positions. His military experience had been primarily in urban environments, where overwhelming firepower and aggressive tactics often produced successful outcomes. The staff sergeant's dismissive attitude toward alternative approaches became evident when Captain Martinez asked for input on engagement strategies. Rodriguez immediately proposed a direct assault plan that would use speed and surprise to overcome enemy defenses, despite the obvious problems with this approach given the intelligence about al-Mansuri's security preparations. His confidence appeared to be based more on personal ego than tactical analysis of the actual situation. Private Emma Walsh raised her hand tentatively, her youth and inexperience making her reluctant to challenge senior personnel, but her intelligence compelling her to ask important questions. Her inquiry about alternative approaches to the target location demonstrated better tactical thinking than Rodriguez had shown, though she lacked the expertise to develop detailed solutions to the problems she had identified. Her willingness to think critically about conventional approaches marked her as someone with potential for leadership development. Corporal Jake Thompson contributed valuable information about communications intercepts that revealed additional security measures al-Mansuri had implemented. His technical expertise in signals intelligence provided insights into the target's operational security that weren't apparent from visual surveillance alone. The communications patterns he had analyzed suggested a level of sophistication that exceeded typical smuggling operations, indicating that al-Mansuri's network had access to advanced technology and professional training. The briefing room fell silent as Captain Martinez presented the most challenging aspect of the mission timeline. Intelligence indicated that al-Mansuri would be present at the meeting site for a maximum of 2 hours, with his departure schedule designed to minimize exposure to potential threats. The narrow window for successful engagement meant that any tactical approach would have to be executed with perfect timing and precision, leaving no margin for error or extended maneuvering. Weather forecasts added another layer of complexity to mission planning, with predictions of strong winds and temperature extremes that would affect both equipment performance and human capabilities. The desert environment created unique challenges for precision shooting, including heat mirages that could distort target images and wind patterns that varied significantly with elevation and time of day. These environmental factors required specialized knowledge and equipment to overcome effectively. Sarah recognized that the mission parameters being described matched exactly the scenarios she had trained for during her specialized instruction in extreme long-range precision shooting. The combination of extended range, challenging environmental conditions, and narrow engagement windows represented the type of situation where conventional approaches failed and specialized capabilities became essential. Her equipment and training had been designed specifically for these circumstances. The intelligence package included detailed terrain analysis that revealed potential sniper positions, capable of overlooking the target location from distances that would place shooters beyond the range of most offensive weapons. These positions offered concealment and multiple escape routes while providing clear sight lines to the meeting site where Al-Mansuri would conduct his business. The longest engagement range identified was approximately 3,400 meters, a distance that challenged the limits of current military capabilities. Rodriguez's reaction to the discussion of long-range engagement options revealed his fundamental misunderstanding of precision shooting capabilities and limitations. His comments about the impracticality of extreme-range shots demonstrated ignorance of advances in equipment and training that had pushed the boundaries of what skilled marksmen could accomplish under optimal conditions. His skepticism was based on outdated assumptions rather than current capabilities. Captain Martinez concluded her briefing by emphasizing the strategic importance of the mission and the need for innovative approaches to overcome the tactical challenges presented by the target's security arrangements. Her leadership style encouraged input from all team members regardless of rank, creating opportunities for expertise to emerge from unexpected sources. This approach had been successful in previous operations where unconventional solutions had produced results that traditional methods couldn't achieve. The mission timeline called for deployment to Eagle's Nest Ridge, an elevated position that provided oversight of the Al-Rashid Valley and potential engagement angles for the target location. The approach to this position would require careful navigation through terrain that offered concealment from enemy observation while positioning the team for effective surveillance and potential engagement. The route had been selected to minimize exposure to counter-surveillance while maximizing tactical options. Equipment preparations for the mission reflected the specialized nature of the operation, with emphasis on long-range surveillance capabilities and precision shooting systems rather than conventional assault weapons. The team's loadout had been configured for extended observation missions with the capability to engage high-value targets at extreme ranges if opportunities presented themselves. This equipment selection recognized that success would depend on precision rather than firepower. Sarah's role in the mission had been defined vaguely by Rodriguez, who seemed uncertain about how to utilize her specialized capabilities effectively. His inexperience with precision shooting operations led him to treat her as a conventional infantry soldier rather than a specialist whose unique skills could be decisive in achieving mission objectives. This misunderstanding of her capabilities would become increasingly problematic as the mission developed. The intelligence summary concluded with an assessment of Al-Mansuri's importance to regional terrorism networks and the potential impact of successful interdiction on ongoing security operations. His elimination would disrupt weapons supplies to multiple terrorist organizations while sending a clear message about the consequences of threatening coalition forces and regional allies. The strategic value of the mission justified the risks associated with operating in challenging terrain against a well-prepared adversary. Team assignments reflected Rodriguez's conventional approach to reconnaissance operations, with standard roles assigned to each member based on their official military specialties, rather than their actual capabilities or the unique requirements of the mission. This cookie-cutter approach to personnel utilization had been adequate for previous missions, but failed to optimize the team's potential for the current operation. Sarah found herself assigned to general surveillance duties rather than precision shooting support. The briefing concluded with final preparations for immediate deployment to the operational area. where the team would establish surveillance positions and await developments in al-Mansuri's schedule. The mission represented a critical opportunity to strike a significant blow against terrorism networks, but success would require flawless execution under challenging conditions that pushed both equipment and personnel to their limits. Sarah understood that her specialized training might prove decisive, even if Rodriguez failed to recognize her potential contributions. As the team prepared to depart the briefing room, Sarah reflected on the tactical situation and the opportunities it presented for demonstrating capabilities that her detractors considered impossible. The mission parameters were exactly what she had trained for, and her equipment was specifically designed to achieve results under these conditions. Rodriguez's skepticism about her abilities would soon be tested against the reality of what properly applied expertise could accomplish when conventional approaches failed to meet operational requirements. The equipment staging area hummed with methodical activity as Alpha Company's reconnaissance team prepared for their departure to Eagle's Nest Ridge. Sarah moved through her final preparations with the calm precision that had become her trademark, conducting system checks on her Barrett M82A1 with the kind of attention to detail that most soldiers reserve for life-or-death situations. Every component of her weapon system received individual inspection, from the custom-loaded ammunition that had been developed specifically for extreme-range engagements to the Night Force scope that Rodriguez had mocked just hours earlier. Her preparation routine reflected years of competitive shooting experience where equipment failure meant the difference between victory and defeat, standards that had only intensified during military training where mechanical problems could result in mission failure and lost lives. Each round of ammunition had been hand-loaded to precise specifications, with powder charges measured to within hundredths of a grain and bullets seated to exact depths that optimized ballistic performance. The process required extensive knowledge of internal ballistics and careful attention to quality control that went far beyond standard military procedures. Private Emma Walsh approached Sarah's workstation with obvious curiosity about the specialized equipment that set the sniper apart from conventional infantry soldiers. Her questions revealed genuine interest in understanding the technical complexities of precision shooting, though her military experience was too limited to grasp the full scope of expertise required for extreme long-range engagements. Sarah appreciated the young soldier's willingness to learn and took time to explain the basic principles of long-range ballistics in terms that Walsh could understand. The education process revealed just how little most soldiers understood about the science behind precision shooting at extended ranges. Walsh's surprise at learning about the effects of atmospheric conditions on bullet trajectory highlighted the gap between popular perceptions of sniping and the reality of what the discipline actually required. Sarah's explanation of wind reading techniques and atmospheric density calculations opened Walsh's eyes to a world of technical complexity that she had never imagined existed within military operations. Rodriguez observed this interaction with obvious displeasure, viewing Sarah's willingness to share knowledge as an attempt to undermine his authority or show off capabilities that he considered irrelevant to practical military operations. His interruption of the conversation demonstrated his discomfort with technical discussions that revealed the limitations of his own knowledge, particularly when those discussions occurred between soldiers of different ranks without his direct supervision. His management style relied heavily on maintaining information control and preventing subordinates from developing expertise that might challenge his leadership position. The staff sergeant's approach to mission preparation emphasized speed and simplicity over thoroughness and technical precision, reflecting a philosophy that prioritized getting into action quickly rather than optimizing performance through careful preparation. His equipment checks were perfunctory, focused on basic functionality rather than the detailed analysis that Sarah conducted to ensure optimal performance under challenging conditions. This fundamental difference in approach highlighted The gap between conventional military thinking and the specialized mindset required for precision shooting operations. Corporal Jake Thompson completed his communications equipment checks while monitoring intelligence updates that continued to refine their understanding of the tactical situation in the Al-Rashid Valley. His reports indicated increased radio traffic among known smuggling networks, suggesting that al-Mansouri's meeting was proceeding as scheduled despite potential awareness of coalition surveillance activities. The communications intercepts provided valuable insight into the target's security, arrangements, and operational timeline. The intelligence updates revealed that al-Mansouri had implemented additional security measures since the original briefing, including the deployment of counter-sniper teams to elevated positions around the meeting site. These developments significantly complicated the tactical picture and increased the risks associated with any attempt to engage the target from conventional sniper positions. The enemy's awareness of potential threats demonstrated sophisticated operational security that exceeded typical criminal organizations. Sarah analyzed the new intelligence with growing understanding of why traditional military approaches had failed to neutralize al-Mansouri during previous operations. His network's ability to anticipate and counter conventional tactics suggested access to professional military training and advanced equipment that created substantial challenges for coalition forces. The counter-sniper teams represented a particular threat to any precision shooting operations, as their presence would require extreme care in position selection and movement techniques. The revelation about enemy counter-sniper capabilities prompted Sarah to reconsider her equipment loadout and engagement strategies. The presence of trained marksmen in defensive positions meant that any shooting position would become extremely dangerous immediately after the first shot, requiring rapid displacement techniques and alternate escape routes that most military snipers never practiced. Her competitive shooting background had included training in rapid position changes and multiple target engagements that provided relevant skills for this scenario. Rodriguez's reaction to the intelligence updates focused on modifying his assault plan rather than reconsidering whether assault tactics were appropriate for the revised threat assessment. His mindset remained locked into conventional approaches, even when new information clearly indicated that those approaches would likely result in mission failure and significant casualties. This inflexibility demonstrated why his previous deployments had been limited to relatively quiet sectors where adaptive thinking wasn't required for survival. The loading of vehicles for transport to Eagle's Nest Ridge proceeded with military efficiency, though the team's equipment loadout reflected Rodriguez's emphasis on conventional assault capabilities rather than the specialized gear that the mission actually required. Sarah's precision shooting equipment represented the only capability specifically designed for the engagement ranges and accuracy requirements that the tactical situation demanded, yet it had been treated as supplementary rather than primary. Mission equipment. The convoy departure from Forward Operating Base Mountainview occurred during the pre-dawn hours when reduced visibility would minimize the chances of enemy observation during transit to the operational area. The route to Eagle's Nest Ridge had been selected to avoid known surveillance positions while providing access to elevated terrain that offered oversight of the target location. Navigation would require expert knowledge of local terrain features and careful attention to enemy activity patterns. Sarah used the transit time to conduct mental rehearsals of potential engagement scenarios, visualizing the ballistic calculations and environmental factors that would influence shot placement at the extreme ranges that might be required. Her preparation included detailed consideration of wind patterns, temperature effects, and atmospheric density variations that would affect bullet trajectory over distances approaching 2 miles. These mental exercises were essential for developing the cognitive framework needed for rapid decision-making under pressure. The vehicle's movement through the desert landscape provided opportunities to observe the environmental conditions that would affect precision shooting operations throughout the day. Early morning temperature inversions created atmospheric layers that would influence bullet trajectory, while the absence of wind suggested that conditions might be optimal for extreme, long-range engagements if opportunities developed. Sarah made mental notes of these observations for later use in ballistic calculations. Private Walsh took advantage of the transit time to ask additional questions about precision shooting techniques, demonstrating genuine curiosity about the scientific principles that governed long-range marksmanship. Her questions revealed an analytical mind that was well-suited for understanding the complexities of extreme-range shooting, though her lack of practical experience limited her ability to grasp the full scope of what was involved. Sarah's patient explanations helped build Walsh's understanding while reinforcing her own knowledge through teaching. The conversation about precision shooting techniques attracted the attention of other team members who had limited exposure to the specialized knowledge that Sarah possessed. Sergeant David Miller, the vehicle commander, expressed surprise at learning about the mathematical calculations required for extreme range shots, having assumed that military sniping was primarily a matter of natural talent and basic training. His questions revealed the common misconception that precision shooting was an intuitive skill rather than a highly technical discipline. Rodriguez's growing irritation with the technical discussions became increasingly obvious as the convoy continued toward Eagle's Nest Ridge. His interruptions and dismissive comments revealed discomfort with conversations that highlighted knowledge gaps in his own background, particularly when those conversations elevated the perceived importance of capabilities that he had previously minimized. His leadership style relied on maintaining intellectual dominance over his subordinates, making Sarah's expertise a threat to his authority structure. The approach to Eagle's Nest Ridge required careful navigation through terrain that provided concealment from enemy observation while positioning the team for effective surveillance of the target area. The final vehicle positions had been selected to allow rapid deployment of personnel and equipment while maintaining options for emergency extraction if the tactical situation deteriorated. Sarah's equipment would need to be transported approximately 800 meters to potential firing positions, requiring careful planning to ensure that precision shooting capabilities remained intact. The establishment of team positions on Eagle's Nest Ridge proceeded according to Rodriguez's conventional reconnaissance protocols, with emphasis on observation and communication rather than optimal placement for precision engagement operations. Sarah found herself assigned to a surveillance position that provided excellent oversight of the valley floor, but was poorly situated for the extreme long-range shots that might be required to engage Al-Mansouri from beyond the range of his counter-sniper teams. Her analysis of the tactical situation revealed multiple problems with Rodriguez's positioning decisions, including exposure to counter-surveillance and suboptimal angles for potential engagement opportunities. The staff sergeant's lack of experience with precision shooting operations had led him to treat Sarah's specialized capabilities as secondary to conventional reconnaissance functions, effectively neutralizing the team's most valuable asset for this particular mission. His positioning decisions reflected a fundamental misunderstanding of how precision shooting operations should be integrated into reconnaissance activities. The morning sun climbed higher in the cloudless sky, creating atmospheric conditions that would challenge precision shooting at extreme ranges through the development of heat mirages and atmospheric turbulence. Sarah monitored these changes with growing concern about the narrow window of opportunity that would exist for accurate long-range engagements. The optimal conditions for extreme precision shooting were rapidly disappearing as the day progressed, and environmental factors became increasingly challenging. Intelligence updates continued to arrive via secure communications, providing refined information about Al-Mansouri's schedule and security arrangements. The target was confirmed to be proceeding toward the meeting site as anticipated, with arrival expected within the next 2 hours. His security detail had been expanded to include additional counter-sniper teams, making conventional approaches even more dangerous while increasing the importance of capabilities that could engage from beyond their effective range. Sarah's equipment remained ready for immediate deployment, despite Rodriguez's failure to position her optimally for precision shooting operations. Her weapon system was capable of achieving the accuracy required for extreme long-range engagements, but success would depend on her ability to recognize and act upon opportunities that might develop despite the constraints imposed by poor tactical positioning. The situation demanded flexibility and innovation rather than adherence to predetermined plans that failed to account for the mission's actual requirements. The tactical situation continued to evolve as enemy security measures became increasingly sophisticated, creating challenges that conventional military approaches were poorly equipped to address. Sarah understood that the mission's success might ultimately depend on capabilities that Rodriguez had dismissed as irrelevant, making her preparation and readiness critical factors in potential outcomes. Her specialized training and equipment represented the team's best hope for achieving objectives that traditional methods couldn't accomplish, even if official recognition of this reality remained elusive. The radio crackled with urgent transmissions as Corporal Thompson's voice cut through the morning air with news that changed everything about their tactical situation. Hawk 6, this is Phoenix Base. Intelligence confirms Al-Mansouri has arrived at the target location with a convoy of 6 vehicles and approximately 20 security personnel. Counter-sniper teams are deploying to elevated positions around the perimeter, and we're detecting advanced surveillance equipment that suggests they know we're in the area. Rodriguez grabbed his binoculars and focused on the meeting site 3,400 meters away, where tiny figures moved with the precision of a well-rehearsed security operation. Through the heat shimmer that was already beginning to distort the distant landscape, he could make out the defensive positions being established by Al-Mansouri's security team. The arms dealer had clearly learned from previous close calls with coalition forces implementing countermeasures that would make any conventional approach virtually suicidal. Sarah Chun lay prone behind her Barrett M82A1, studying the same distant activity through her Night Force scope. Where Rodriguez saw insurmountable obstacles, she saw a tactical puzzle that required precision rather than brute force to solve. Her years of competitive shooting had taught her to think in terms of what was possible rather than what was probable, to find solutions where others saw only problems. The distance was extreme, the environmental conditions challenging, but not beyond the capabilities of properly applied expertise. The morning sun continued its relentless climb, creating atmospheric conditions that would test every aspect of Sarah's training and equipment. Heat mirages began dancing across the valley floor, creating optical distortions that would make target identification increasingly difficult as the day progressed. Wind patterns were shifting from the stable conditions of early morning to the turbulent thermals that characterized desert environments during peak heating periods. Time was running out for any precision engagement that required optimal environmental conditions. Private Walsh adjusted her position beside Sarah, her young face reflecting a mixture of awe and concern as she observed the snipers' methodical preparation for what seemed like an impossible shot. Sergeant Chen, that target has to be over 2 miles away. The manual says maximum effective range for the Barrett is 1,800 meters. How can anyone be accurate at that distance? Her question revealed both genuine curiosity and the kind of tactical thinking that Rodriguez should have been encouraging rather than dismissing. Sarah's response came without taking her eye from the scope, her voice carrying the calm confidence of someone who had pushed beyond conventional limitations through dedicated preparation and superior equipment. The manual gives average capabilities. Under standard conditions, Walsh, with the right ammunition, atmospheric calculations, and equipment designed for extreme range, you can achieve accuracy that most people consider impossible. The key is understanding that ballistics is a science, not magic. Her explanation began a detailed breakdown of the factors that would influence bullet trajectory over the extreme distance to the target location. Atmospheric density variations caused by temperature gradients would affect the projectiles. Flight path in ways that required precise compensation through scope adjustments. Wind patterns at different elevations between the firing position and target would create complex deflection forces that demanded expert reading and mathematical calculation to overcome. The Coriolis effect, caused by Earth's rotation, would deflect the bullet approximately 4 inches to the right over the distance involved, requiring compensation that most military snipers never encountered in their standard training. Bullet drop at 3,400 meters would exceed 60 feet, necessitating elevation adjustments that push the scope's capabilities to their mechanical limits. Each of these factors required individual calculation and compensation, while their combined effects created a ballistic puzzle of extraordinary complexity. Rodriguez's growing agitation became apparent as he listened to Sarah's technical explanations while simultaneously receiving increasingly urgent intelligence updates about al-Mansuri's schedule. His conventional military training had provided no framework for understanding the scientific principles that governed extreme long-range shooting, leaving him unable to evaluate whether Sarah's claims about possible accuracy were realistic or merely theoretical boasting designed to inflate her importance to the mission. The staff sergeant's discomfort with technical complexity was compounded by his growing realization that the tactical situation was developing beyond his ability to control through conventional means. His assault plan had assumed that overwhelming firepower and aggressive tactics would overcome enemy resistance, but the intelligence about counter-sniper teams and advanced surveillance equipment made such approaches extremely dangerous. The mission was evolving into exactly the kind of scenario where specialized capabilities became essential for success. Thompson's communications equipment continued receiving updated intelligence that painted an increasingly complex picture of al-Mansuri's security arrangements. Hawk 6, Phoenix Base reports thermal imaging equipment being deployed by enemy forces. They're conducting systematic sweeps of potential sniper positions, and their counter-surveillance capabilities appear to exceed our initial assessments. Conventional approach routes are now considered compromised. The revelation about enemy thermal imaging capabilities eliminated most of Rodriguez's tactical options, while highlighting the importance of engagement ranges that exceeded the effective reach of enemy surveillance systems. Sarah's position on Eagle's Nest Ridge placed her beyond the maximum detection range of most portable thermal equipment, but only if she could achieve accurate engagement from distances that challenged the boundaries of human capability. The tactical situation was crystallizing into a scenario where conventional thinking offered no viable solutions. Sarah's mental calculations continued as she factored environmental conditions into her ballistic computations. Barometric pressure readings from her portable weather station indicated atmospheric density that would slightly reduce bullet velocity over the extended flight time. Temperature measurements revealed thermal gradients that would create refractive index variations in the atmosphere, potentially affecting the optical path between her scope and the target. Each environmental factor required individual assessment and integration into the complex mathematical framework that governed extreme long-range accuracy. Her custom ammunition had been developed specifically for these challenging conditions, with ballistic coefficients optimized for extended flight times and atmospheric variations typical of desert environments. The projectiles had been selected for their ability to maintain stability and accuracy over distances that exceeded most military applications, while the powder charges had been carefully measured to produce consistent velocities that enabled predictable trajectory calculations. Every component of her system had been designed and tested for performance at the limits of current technology. The meeting site 3,400 meters away showed increasing activity as al-Mansour's security team completed their defensive preparations. Through her scope, Sarah could distinguish individual figures moving between vehicles and buildings, their movements indicating a well-trained organization that understood proper security protocols. The arms dealer himself remained concealed within the convoy vehicles, following operational security procedures that had kept him alive during years of coalition hunting efforts. Rodriguez faced the growing realization that his conventional, tactical options were rapidly disappearing as enemy countermeasures neutralized each approach route he had considered. His requests for artillery support had been denied due to the proximity of civilian structures, while air support was unavailable because of surface-to-air threats that intelligence had detected in the area. The mission was becoming a test of capabilities that extended beyond his training and experience. The staff sergeant's radio calls to higher headquarters revealed his mounting desperation as he sought authorization for alternative approaches that might salvage the mission through conventional means. His reluctance to acknowledge Sarah's specialized capabilities reflected both personal prejudice and institutional thinking that prioritized traditional methods over innovative solutions. This cognitive inflexibility was preventing him from recognizing that the mission requirements had evolved beyond conventional military approaches. Sarah's scope revealed details of the target area that were invisible to other team members using standard military optics. Her advanced equipment could resolve individual faces at the extreme distance, allowing her to distinguish between security personnel and potential high-value targets. The clarity of her optical system provided tactical intelligence that conventional surveillance methods couldn't match, demonstrating the value of specialized equipment that Rodriguez had dismissed as unnecessary complexity. Private Walsh continued her education in precision shooting principles as Sarah explained the sight picture adjustments required for extreme range engagements. The young soldier's questions revealed an analytical mind that grasped the scientific principles involved. Though her lack of practical experience limited her understanding of the physical and mental challenges associated with executing such calculations under pressure. Her genuine curiosity provided a welcome contrast to Rodriguez's willful ignorance of technical realities. The atmospheric conditions continued deteriorating as the morning sun heated the desert landscape, creating thermal turbulence that would make precision shooting increasingly difficult. Heat mirages began affecting the optical path between Sarah's position and the target area, creating distortions that required constant compensation and adjustment. The window of opportunity for optimal shooting conditions was rapidly closing, adding time pressure to an already complex tactical situation. Intelligence updates indicated that al-Mansour's meeting was proceeding on schedule, with representatives from multiple buyer organizations arriving at the target location. The arms dealer's presence was confirmed through signals intelligence that intercepted communications between security personnel, but his exact location within the compound remained uncertain. The narrow time window for engagement was creating additional pressure on tactical decision-making at every level of command. Sarah's preparation reached completion as she finished her environmental calculations and scope adjustments for the extreme range engagement. Her weapon system was configured for maximum accuracy under current conditions, with every mechanical and environmental factor accounted for in her ballistic solution. The shot she was preparing represented the convergence of years of training, specialized equipment, and optimal atmospheric conditions that might not occur again during the mission window. Rodriguez's final attempt to regain control of the tactical situation came through a desperate radio call requesting immediate extraction. For his team, effectively admitting that conventional approaches had failed to provide viable options for mission completion. His recommendation to abort the operation revealed both professional integrity in recognizing his limitations and personal failure to adapt to circumstances that demanded innovative thinking rather than traditional solutions. The radio response. from higher headquarters was immediate and uncompromising. Hawk 6, extraction is not authorized at this time. Al-Mansouri represents a target of strategic importance whose elimination takes priority over conventional tactical limitations. Are directed to employ all available assets to complete the mission using whatever means prove effective. The command directive placed the mission's success squarely on capabilities that existed within Alpha Company's reconnaissance team, regardless of whether those capabilities fit conventional tactical frameworks. Sarah understood that her specialized training and equipment had suddenly become the primary hope for achieving objectives that traditional methods couldn't accomplish. The moment she had trained for throughout her career was finally at hand. Her sight picture through the Night Force scope revealed Al-Mansouri emerging from his convoy vehicle, his distinctive appearance matching intelligence photographs that had been circulated throughout coalition forces for months. The arms dealer moved with the confidence of someone who believed his security arrangements provided adequate protection against conventional threats, unaware that unconventional capabilities were being brought to bear against him from beyond his defensive perimeter. The range to target was 3,412 meters according to Sarah's laser rangefinder, a distance that exceeded every shot in military history by over 400 meters. Environmental conditions were challenging but manageable, with wind patterns that required complex compensation but remained within the boundaries of what expert calculation could overcome. The shot was at the absolute limit of human capability, but it was possible for someone with the right training, equipment, and mental preparation. Sarah's breathing settled into the controlled rhythm that preceded extreme precision shots, her heart rate dropping to levels that minimized physiological interference with motor control. Years of competitive shooting had taught her to achieve a mental state that excluded all distractions while maintaining perfect focus on the technical requirements of the shot. Her finger found the trigger with pressure so light that the rifle's discharge would occur at the precise moment when all factors aligned for optimal accuracy. The Barrett M82A1 erupted with a thunderous report that echoed across the valley, sending a precisely crafted projectile on a trajectory that would cover 3,400 meters in approximately 4 seconds. Sarah maintained her sight picture through the recoil cycle, watching through her scope as the bullet traced an invisible arc across the desert landscape toward a target that most people would consider impossibly distant for accurate engagement. The heat shimmer and atmospheric distortion made it difficult to observe the bullet's impact, but the sudden change in activity around the target location confirmed what Sarah's training told her had occurred. Al-Mansouri collapsed immediately, struck by a projectile that had traveled further than any successful military sniper shot in recorded history. The arms dealer's security team erupted into confused activity, searching for threats from directions they considered impossible. Rodriguez stared through his binoculars in stunned disbelief as the target area dissolved into chaos, enemy security personnel running for cover from a threat they couldn't locate or understand. His conventional military training provided no framework for comprehending what he had just witnessed, leaving him speechless as the tactical situation transformed from impossible mission to remarkable success through capabilities he had dismissed as theoretical impossibility. The radio crackled with confirmation from multiple intelligence sources that Al-Mansouri had been eliminated, his death witnessed by electronic surveillance assets that verified the successful completion of mission objectives through means that exceeded all previous military achievements. The arms-dealing network that had threatened regional security for years had been decapitated by a single shot that redefined the boundaries of what skilled personnel with advanced equipment could accomplish. Thompson's communications equipment received immediate tasking for rapid extraction as higher headquarters recognized that the team's position would become untenable once enemy forces determined the general direction of the shot. Sarah began breaking down her equipment with practiced efficiency, her movements calm and professional despite having just made the longest confirmed kill shot in military history. Her training had prepared her for the technical challenges of the shot, but the historical significance of her achievement was only beginning to register. Private Walsh's expression reflected pure amazement as she watched Sarah secure her equipment after accomplishing what seemed impossible just minutes earlier. "Sergeant Chun, how did you make that shot?" The distance, the environmental conditions. Everything about it should have been impossible according to everything I've learned about shooting. Her question captured the wonder that everyone felt when witnessing expertise applied at levels that transcended normal understanding. Sarah's response came with the quiet confidence of someone whose achievement spoke louder than any explanation could. "Walsh, impossible is just another word for something that requires better preparation and more advanced thinking than most people are willing to invest." The shot was difficult, but every factor was within the range of what proper training and equipment can overcome. The only real limitation was other people's willingness to believe it could be done. The extraction from Eagle's Nest Ridge proceeded with military efficiency as the team moved to predetermined pickup points where helicopters would transport them back to Forward Operating Base Mountainview. Rodriguez maintained radio silence during the movement, his earlier skepticism replaced by obvious contemplation of how fundamentally his assumptions about capability and limitation had been proven wrong. His conventional thinking had nearly resulted in mission failure, while the specialized expertise he had dismissed had achieved historic success. Intelligence reports continued arriving as the team reached their extraction point, confirming that al-Mansouri's death had created immediate disruption throughout regional weapons trafficking networks. Secondary explosions at the meeting site indicated that significant weapons stockpiles had been destroyed, while communications intercepts revealed panic among terrorist organizations that had depended on the arms dealers' supply network. The strategic impact of the mission was exceeding all expectations. The helicopter extraction provided opportunities for reflection on the day's events as the team flew back toward their base through desert landscape that looked deceptively peaceful. From altitude, Sarah's historic achievement had demonstrated that human capability, properly developed and equipped, could transcend conventional limitations when applied with sufficient expertise and determination. Her shot had redefined what was possible in military operations while proving that excellence recognized no artificial boundaries. Captain Martinez was waiting at the landing zone when the helicopters touched down, her expression reflecting both professional satisfaction with mission success and personal amazement at the means through which that success had been achieved. Her briefing from higher headquarters had included preliminary analysis suggesting that Sarah's shot would become a landmark achievement in military history, studied and admired by precision shooting experts for generations to come. The debriefing session that followed brought together senior officers who had flown in specifically to understand how conventional military limitations had been exceeded through individual expertise and advanced equipment. Sarah's technical explanation of her ballistic calculations and environmental compensations provided insights into capabilities that most military personnel had never imagined existed within their ranks. Her achievement represented a new benchmark for what properly trained and equipped specialists could accomplish. Rodriguez's portion of the debriefing revealed the personal and professional growth that had resulted from witnessing capabilities that challenged his fundamental assumptions about military operations. His honest assessment of his own limitations and his recommendation that Sarah's expertise be better utilized in future operations demonstrated the kind of leadership development that sometimes emerged from profound learning experiences. His willingness to acknowledge superior expertise marked him as someone capable of growth despite initial prejudices. The formal recognition that followed included immediate promotion to Staff Sergeant for Sarah, along with nomination for decorations that would officially acknowledge her historic achievement. More importantly, Her assignment to specialized units where her capabilities could be properly utilized represented institutional recognition that excellence could emerge from unexpected sources when given appropriate opportunities for development and application. 6 months later, Sarah stood before an advanced marksmanship training class at the Army's premier sniper school. Her instructor credentials established through achievements that had redefined the boundaries of what military marksmen could accomplish. Her students included both male and female soldiers who understood that capability was determined by training and dedication rather than artificial limitations imposed by others' limited thinking. The lesson plan she was teaching focused on extreme long-range shooting techniques that pushed beyond conventional military training, incorporating scientific principles and advanced equipment that enabled accuracy at distances previously considered impossible. Her approach emphasized that perceived limitations often existed only in the minds of those unwilling to invest in proper preparation and superior thinking. Every student understood they were learning from someone who had proven that impossible was simply another challenge to overcome. Her story had become legend throughout the military precision shooting community, inspiring a new generation of marksmen who understood that excellence required both technical expertise and the mental strength to attempt what others considered beyond human capability. The mocked scope that had drawn Rodriguez's ridicule now represented the pinnacle of optical technology, studied and emulated by equipment manufacturers seeking to achieve similar performance standards. In the audience of her training class, Sarah spotted several young female soldiers whose expressions reflected the same determination she had felt during her early career when others questioned her presence in specialized roles. They represented the future of military precision shooting, a future where capability would be measured by achievement rather than assumptions. Her achievement had opened doors that would benefit countless others who possessed the skill and determination to excel. The transformation in military thinking that resulted from Sarah's historic shot extended far beyond individual recognition to influence institutional approaches to capability development and personnel utilization. Training programs were revised to emphasize technical excellence over traditional limitations, while equipment procurement focused on pushing the boundaries of what properly equipped specialists could accomplish. Her success had demonstrated that investing in advanced capabilities produced results that conventional approaches couldn't achieve. The legacy of that impossible shot continued to influence military operations throughout the region, where enemy organizations now had to account for engagement ranges that previously provided safe haven from coalition forces. The psychological impact of demonstrating capability that exceeded all previous achievements created strategic advantages that extended far beyond the immediate tactical success of eliminating al-Mansuri. Sarah's daily routine now included mentoring responsibilities that connected her historic achievement to the development of future precision shooting capabilities. Young soldiers sought her guidance not just for technical knowledge, but for the mental framework that enabled attempting what others considered impossible. Her influence extended beyond immediate training responsibilities to shape institutional culture in ways that would benefit military effectiveness for decades to come. The Barrett M82A1 that had delivered the historic shot was retired to a place of honor in the military's Precision Shooting Museum, where it served as inspiration for future generations of marksmen. Accompanying displays detailed the technical achievements and personal dedication that had made the impossible shot possible, ensuring that Sarah's legacy would continue inspiring excellence long after her active service ended. The scope that Rodriguez had mocked now represented the standard against which all precision optics were measured, its specifications studied by manufacturers seeking to achieve similar performance capabilities. The advancement in optical technology that resulted from analyzing Sarah's equipment had pushed the entire industry toward higher standards that benefited military and civilian precision shooting applications worldwide. The secure briefing room at Forward Operating Base Mountainview buzzed with subdued tension as intelligence analysts prepared their final assessment of Operation Desert Watch. 3 days had passed since Sarah Chan's historic shot had eliminated Halil al-Mansuri, and the ripple effects of that single moment were still reverberating throughout the region's terrorist networks. Maps covered every surface, marked with red indicators showing the collapse of weapons supply lines that had operated for years under al-Mansuri's coordination. Captain Martinez stood at the head of the conference table, her expression reflecting the professional satisfaction of an officer whose unit had achieved strategic objectives through unconventional means. The intelligence package she was reviewing contained intercepts from multiple terrorist organizations expressing panic about their suddenly disrupted supply chains. Secondary explosions at the meeting site had destroyed weapons caches worth millions of dollars, while the psychological impact of demonstrating previously unknown coalition capabilities had created fear throughout criminal networks. Sarah sat quietly at the conference table, her demeanor unchanged despite the magnitude of what she had accomplished. The woman who had just made the longest confirmed kill shot in military history showed no signs of ego or self-importance, maintaining the professional composure that had characterized her throughout her career. Her focus remained on the technical aspects of her achievement rather than the recognition it was generating, reflecting the mindset that had made such precision possible. Under extreme pressure, Staff Sergeant Rodriguez occupied a chair at the opposite end of the table, his earlier skepticism replaced by contemplative silence as he processed the implications of what he had witnessed. The conventional military thinking that had guided his career for over a decade had proven inadequate for understanding capabilities that exceeded his experience and training. His recommendation for Sarah's recognition had been immediate and unqualified, representing a fundamental shift in his approach to evaluating personnel and equipment. The intelligence briefing revealed the full scope of disruption that al-Mansuri's illumination had created throughout regional terrorism networks. Communications intercepts showed panic among group leaders who had depended on his supply network, while financial intelligence indicated that multiple planned attacks had been canceled due to equipment shortages. The strategic impact of the precision strike was exceeding all projections, validating the investment in advanced capabilities that most military leaders had considered marginal. Private Walsh took detailed notes as the briefing progressed, her role as communications specialist providing her with insight into the broader implications of the mission's success. Her questions during the intelligence presentation demonstrated the analytical thinking that had made her a valuable team member, while her obvious admiration for Sarah's achievement reflected the inspiration that exceptional performance could provide to junior personnel seeking examples of excellence. The technical analysis of Sarah's shot occupied a significant portion of the briefing, with ballistics experts presenting calculations that verified the extreme difficulty of what she had accomplished. The environmental conditions, range calculations, and equipment performance had all been documented in detail, creating a comprehensive record that would serve as reference material for future training and development programs. The precision required had pushed multiple systems to their operational limits simultaneously. Atmospheric data collected during the engagement showed wind patterns that had required complex compensation calculations, while temperature and barometric pressure readings indicated conditions that challenged conventional ballistics tables. The successful engagement under these circumstances demonstrated mastery of technical principles that most military marksmen never encountered in their training. Sarah's ability to integrate multiple variables into accurate fire solutions represented expertise that exceeded institutional knowledge. The aftermath of al-Mansuri's elimination had provided valuable intelligence about terrorist network structures and operational procedures. Documents recovered from the meeting site revealed connections between organizations that had previously been considered separate entities, while captured communications equipment provided access to encrypted networks that had been impenetrable through other means. The secondary benefits of the successful mission were multiplying the strategic value of Sarah's achievement. Colonel James Parker, the senior investigating officer, had flown in specifically to understand how conventional military limitations had been exceeded through individual expertise and advanced equipment. His questions focused on the training and development programs that had produced such exceptional capability, with particular interest in how similar results might be achieved more systematically. The institutional implications of Sarah's success were becoming apparent to senior leadership. The formal recognition process had begun immediately following mission completion, with recommendations for decorations and promotion moving through command channels with unprecedented speed. Sarah's achievement had attracted attention from the highest levels of military leadership, including requests for detailed analysis of her training methods and equipment specifications. The institutional response reflected recognition that her success represented more than individual achievement. Sarah's technical explanation of her ballistic calculations and environmental compensations provided insights into capabilities that most military personnel had never imagined possible within their ranks. Her description of the sight picture, adjustments, wind reading techniques, and atmospheric compensation methods revealed the depth of scientific knowledge required for extreme precision shooting. The mathematical complexity of her calculations exceeded most officers' understanding of ballistics principles. The equipment analysis revealed that Sarah's custom scope and ammunition had been critical factors in achieving accuracy at the extreme engagement range. Her modifications to standard military systems had optimized performance for conditions that exceeded normal operational parameters, demonstrating the value of allowing skilled personnel to adapt equipment to specific mission requirements. The technical innovations she had implemented were being studied for potential incorporation into standard military systems. Rodriguez's formal report acknowledged his initial skepticism about Sarah's capabilities, while recommending immediate changes to how specialized personnel were utilized within reconnaissance units. His honest assessment of his own limitations had earned respect from senior officers who recognized the professional integrity required for such admissions. His recommendation for Sarah's promotion to a specialized unit was strongly endorsed by all reviewing authorities. The psychological impact of demonstrating previously unknown capabilities had created strategic advantages that extended far beyond the immediate tactical success of eliminating al-Mansuri. Enemy organizations now had to account for engagement ranges that previously provided safe haven from coalition forces, fundamentally altering their operational planning and security procedures. The fear created by Sarah's achievement had become a force multiplier for all coalition operations. Captain Martinez's unit citation recommendation detailed how Alpha Company's reconnaissance team had achieved strategic objectives through innovative application of specialized capabilities. Her emphasis on the importance of recognizing and utilizing exceptional expertise, regardless of its source, reflected lessons learned from nearly losing mission success through conventional thinking. The institutional changes she recommended would influence personnel policies throughout the military. The debriefing session extended into its second day as senior officers sought to understand every aspect of how the impossible shot had been achieved. Sarah's patient explanations of her training methods, equipment modifications, and mental preparation techniques provided a comprehensive educational experience for leaders who had never been exposed to such specialized knowledge. Her willingness to share expertise demonstrated the professional character that had made her success possible. Thompson's communications analysis revealed that terrorist organizations throughout the region were implementing new security procedures in response to demonstrated coalition capabilities. The psychological warfare value of Sarah's achievement was creating operational difficulties for enemy forces that had previously felt secure in their remote locations. The strategic impact was multiplying as fear of similar capabilities spread throughout criminal networks. The formal award ceremony took place 1 week after the mission, with Sarah receiving the Silver Star for gallantry in action and immediate promotion to Staff Sergeant. Her citation specifically mentioned the historic nature of her achievement, while emphasizing the strategic impact of her precision shooting capabilities. The ceremony was attended by senior officers from multiple commands who recognized the significance of her accomplishment. Sarah's reassignment to the Army's Primer Sniper School represented institutional recognition that her expertise needed to be shared with future generations of precision marksmen. Her new role as senior instructor would allow her to influence training programs that had previously been limited by conventional thinking about human capabilities. The position represented both recognition of her achievement and investment in developing similar capabilities throughout the military. The technical innovations that had enabled Sarah's success were being incorporated into advanced training, curricula designed to push the boundaries of what military marksmen could accomplish. Her equipment modifications were being studied by manufacturers seeking to achieve similar performance standards, while her training methods were being documented for use in specialized programs. The institutional impact of her achievement was transforming precision shooting doctrine. The Barrett M82A1 that had delivered the historic shot was retired to a place of honor in the military's Precision Shooting Museum, where it would serve as inspiration for future generations of marksmen. The accompanying display detailed the technical achievements and personal dedication that had made the impossible shot possible, ensuring that Sarah's legacy would continue inspiring excellence long after her active service ended. The scope that Rodriguez had mocked now represented the standard against which all precision optics were measured, its specifications studied by manufacturers seeking to achieve similar performance capabilities. The advancement in optical technology that resulted from analyzing Sarah's equipment had pushed the entire industry toward higher standards that benefited military and civilian precision shooting applications worldwide. 3 months after the mission, Sarah stood before her first class of advanced marksmanship students at the Army's Premier Sniper School. Her instructor credentials had been established through achievements that had redefined the boundaries of what military marksmen could accomplish, giving her unique authority to teach techniques that pushed beyond conventional limitations. Her students included both male and female soldiers who understood that capability was determined by training and dedication rather than artificial limitations. The lesson plan she was teaching focused on extreme long-range shooting techniques that incorporated scientific principles and advanced equipment that enabled accuracy at distances previously considered impossible. Her approach emphasized that perceived limitations often existed only in the minds of those unwilling to invest in proper preparation and superior thinking. Every student understood they were learning from someone who had proven that impossible was simply another challenge to overcome. Her story had become legend throughout the military precision shooting community, inspiring a new generation of marksmen who understood that excellence required both technical expertise and the mental strength to attempt what others considered beyond human capability. The transformation in military thinking that resulted from Sarah's historic shot extended far beyond individual recognition to influence institutional approaches to capability development and personnel utilization. In the audience of her training class, Sarah spotted several young female soldiers whose expressions reflected the same determination she had felt during her early career when others questioned her presence in specialized roles. They represented the future of military precision shooting, a future where capability would be measured by achievement rather than assumptions. Her achievement had opened doors that would benefit countless others who possessed the skill and determination to excel. The daily routine of her new position included mentoring responsibilities that connected her historic Achievement to the development of future precision shooting capabilities. Young soldiers sought her guidance not just for technical knowledge, but for the mental framework that enabled attempting what others considered impossible. Her influence extended beyond immediate training responsibilities to shape institutional culture in ways that would benefit military effectiveness for decades to come. Sarah's approach to instruction emphasized the scientific principles that governed extreme long-range shooting, teaching students to think analytically about ballistics problems rather than relying on conventional wisdom that might limit their potential. Her classes included detailed study of atmospheric effects, advanced ballistics calculations, and equipment optimization techniques that most military marksmen never encountered in standard training programs. The transformation in her students' understanding of what was possible became apparent within weeks of beginning her instruction. Soldiers who had previously accepted conventional range limitations began achieving accuracy at distances that exceeded their previous training standards. The mental shift from accepting limitations to seeking solutions represented the most important aspect of Sarah's teaching methodology. Her influence on equipment development extended beyond her immediate teaching responsibilities as manufacturers sought her input on new optical systems and ammunition designs. The technical specifications she provided were based on real-world experience at the limits of current technology, giving her unique insight into what improvements would produce meaningful advances in precision shooting capabilities. The regional impact of al-Mansouri's elimination continued to influence counter-terrorism operations throughout the Middle East, where enemy organizations remained fearful of engagement ranges that they had previously considered safe. The psychological warfare value of Sarah's achievement had created operational advantages that benefited all coalition forces, demonstrating how individual excellence could produce strategic effects far beyond immediate tactical success. Sarah's legacy extended beyond her historic shot to encompass the institutional changes that resulted from demonstrating previously unknown capabilities. Training programs were revised to emphasize technical excellence over traditional limitations, while equipment procurement focused on pushing the boundaries of what properly equipped specialists could accomplish. Her success had proven that investing in advanced capabilities produced results that conventional approaches couldn't achieve. The mentorship relationship she developed with her students created a network of precision shooters who carried her technical knowledge and professional standards throughout the military. These relationships ensured that her expertise would continue influencing military effectiveness long after her active service ended, multiplying the impact of her achievements through the success of those she had trained. The annual precision shooting competition that had been established in her honor attracted competitors from military units worldwide, creating opportunities for sharing advanced techniques and fostering continued innovation in long-range marksmanship. The event served as both recognition of her achievement and motivation for others to pursue excellence in precision shooting disciplines. Sarah's autobiography, published 5 years after her historic shot, became required reading in military precision shooting programs throughout the world. Her detailed account of the training, preparation, and mindset that had made the impossible shot possible provided insights that influenced training methods and equipment development for decades. The book's emphasis on overcoming perceived limitations through scientific approach and dedicated preparation inspired countless individuals to pursue excellence in their chosen fields. The technical innovations that had enabled her success continued to influence equipment development as manufacturers incorporated her modifications into new generation systems. The precision shooting community's adoption of her techniques and equipment specifications created industry standards that pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible in long-range accuracy. The institutional recognition of her achievement included establishment of specialized training programs designed to develop similar capabilities throughout the military. These programs incorporated her teaching methods and technical innovations while seeking to create systematic approaches to developing extreme precision shooting capabilities. Her influence on military training doctrine represented one of the most significant changes in precision shooting instruction since the discipline's inception. 20 years after her historic shot, Sarah's influence on military precision shooting remained evident in training programs, equipment specifications, and tactical doctrines that continued to push the boundaries of what skilled marksmen could accomplish. Her legacy had transformed not just individual careers, but institutional approaches to developing and utilizing specialized capabilities. The impossible shot that had shocked Rodriguez and vindicated her expertise had become the foundation for advances that continued to benefit military effectiveness worldwide. The museum display featuring her equipment and achievement continued to inspire new generations of soldiers who understood that excellence required both technical expertise and the mental strength to attempt what others considered impossible. Her story remained proof that perceived limitations often existed only in the minds of those unwilling to invest in proper preparation and superior thinking, a lesson that extended far beyond precision shooting to influence all aspects of military and civilian excellence. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.